Welcome to another episode of Practice Makes You Better, where I'm covering all 14 categories, doing a 30-question mock test, giving you hints, tips and tricks, and showing you the best possible way of passing your theory test first time. In this episode, I'm going to be covering safety margins using my app of choice, which is Driving Test Success. So let's waste no more time and let's get started. In which conditions will your overall stopping distance increase? In the rain, possible. Let's take that one. In fog, in strong winds at night. So in this particular answer, it's going to be the rain. If they put ice and snow, then obviously ice and snow is going to be the answer that you are requiring. Where is your vehicle most likely to be affected by side winds? Again, read the question very carefully. Where is your vehicle most likely to be affected? So the answers are: on a narrow country lane, no. On an open stretch road, your vehicle is going to be most likely be affected by winds on an open stretch road, i.e. grass fields either side or on a bridge. When it actually gets really windy, they close the roads to lorries, high-sided vehicles on bridges and open stretch roads. So it's going to be that answer, but always read the other answers just in case there's a bit more info in them. On a busy stretch road, no. On a long straight road, no. What's the main benefit of driving a four-wheel drive vehicle? The main benefit. So answers: improved passenger comfort. That's a benefit, but it's not a main benefit. Shorter stopping distances. You're never going to have shorter stopping distances. Lower fuel consumption, no. Improved grip on the road. Again, the connection, there's four wheels. What does the wheels drive on the road? Going to give you a better grip. You're about to start a journey in freezing weather. So the weather's freezing. What part of your vehicle should you clear of ice and snow? The boots, no. The aerial, no. Bumper, no. Windows. Remember, the theory test is about safety. If you can't see, you can't be safe. So you definitely want to be clearing those windows before you move that car. What should you do when you're using a contraflow system? Remember, contraflow means going against the flow of traffic. So here it's asking you, what should you do? Increase speed to get through the contraflow more quickly, no. Switch lanes to make better progress, no. Follow other motorists closely to avoid long queues, no. Choose an appropriate lane in good time, definitely yes. You've just gone through flood water. What should you do to make sure your brakes are working properly? If a flood water obviously is flooded, so you're going through a high level amount of water, so you really want to be testing your brakes. Stop for at least an hour to allow them time to dry, no. Go slowly while gently applying the brakes, definitely yes. Accelerate and keep to a high speed for a short time, no. Avoid using the brakes at all for a few miles. You can't avoid using the brakes. If the brakes has to be used, it has to be used, so that's not a safe option. You're driving in a built-up area that has traffic calming measures. What should you do when you're approaching a road hump? Now, traffic calming measures, there's three times. What you see here: speed humps, width restrictions where you got to drive through a narrow space, so you got to reduce your speed to get through, and chicanes where the pavement sort of comes at staggered and then you got to slow down to negotiate them. So speed humps are designed, or traffic calming measures are designed for you to reduce your speed. So wait for any pedestrians to cross, no. Move across to the left hand side of the road, no. Stop and check both pavements, no. Check your mirror and slow down. So it's going to be this one. Checking the mirrors, make sure it's safe to slow down, and then obviously slow down for the speed hump so you don't bump your head on the roof. What lights should you use when you're driving on a wet motorway and the vehicles are throwing up spray? If you've seen my previous videos when I talk about lights, I always say if it's a light, box down to light question, it's going to be dipped headlights or headlights. It's the same thing, they just drop the dipped. So this is a bog standard question. You're driving on the motorway, yes it's wet, yes spray's coming up, but it's still bog standard. So we're looking for dipped headlights or headlights depending on which one they used. Hazard warning lights, no. Dipped headlights, yes. We don't need to go any further on this particular one. What requires extra care when you're driving or riding in windy conditions? It's going to be passing cyclists because obviously it's windy. Cyclists swerve anyway. The best of times to go around drains and manhole covers. And obviously with the added wind in this question, you need to give extra care when passing cyclists or bicycles. So turning into a narrow road, no. Using the brakes, no. Passing pedal cyclists, yes. And moving on the hill, no. You're driving along a country road, you see this sign. What should you do after dealing safely with a hazard? If you didn't know, ford is just a lot of surface water, and the way you should drive through a ford is slowly, low gear, so not to splash. That's another question that may come up at some point during your theory test or mock test, or even on a real test. So ford is a lot of surface water. What do you do when you come out the other side is try or test your brakes just in case they are soaking wet. Switch on hazard warning lights, no. Check your tire pressure, no. Test your brakes, yes. Accelerate briskly, no. What would suggest you're driving on an icy road? So you're driving on an icy road. What would suggest this? There's less engine noise, has nothing to do with icy roads. There's less transmission noise. If you didn't know, transmission is your gearbox, it's just an American term. And there's less wind noise, and no, again, that the icy road is not going to be less wind noise. And there's less tire noise. Tires, where does ice sit on the road? On the road. Where does your tire sit? On the road. There's the connection there. So if you are struggling, that's how you can work it out, your answers as well. Why should you keep well to the left as you approach a right-hand bend? So again, look at the image. Why should you keep to the left? The only reason why you're keeping well to the left, that's where you should be anyway, but on a bend, definitely. So you've got a better view of the road. As simple as that. To improve your view of the road, first one out. To overcome the effect of the road slope, no. To be positioned safely if you skid, no. The third test is always going to leave you in safe situations, so skidding is not really an option. To let faster traffic from behind overtake, no. You're following other vehicles in fog. You have your headlights on dipped beam. What else can you do to reduce the chances of being in a collision? Use main beam instead of dipped headlights. No. Keep close to the vehicle in front. If it's foggy, the last thing you want to do is keep close to the vehicle in front. Keep a safe distance from the vehicle in front. Again, keyword there is keep a safe distance. Remember, if it's got safe, safely, or safety in the answer, you have to shortlist it as a possible. Doesn't always work, but shortlist as a possible. So that's the safest one at the moment. And keep up with the faster vehicles. Again, no, it's foggy. So the last thing you want to be doing is that. What will be affected if the road surface becomes soft in very hot weather? Right, a lot of people don't realize this. When it gets really hot, the tarmac becomes soft and your tires grip to the tarmac a little bit more than it should do, because tires are rubber. So you need a little bit more gas to keep the pace up, and then you need more turns of the steering wheel when going around corners. So we're looking for something along the lines of your tires or road surface. They can give you either options on the real test. For tire grip, first one out. For suspension, no. Exhaust emissions, no. Fuel consumption, no. You're traveling on the motorway. So you're on the motorway. How can you lower the risk of a collision when the vehicle behind is following too closely? Brake sharply, no. Move onto the hard shoulder and stop. You know, that's only emergencies only. And this, if someone's driving behind you closely, it's not an emergency. Switch on your hazard warning lights. That's not going to change anything. The person behind knows they're driving closely because remember, they can see you. It's going to increase your distance from the vehicle in front. So you just want to make the gap bigger between you and the car in front. So you just ease off the gas a little bit, let the car pull away, and that way if they stop suddenly, you've got more space to spread your braking so you stay smooth and not braking sharply so the person behind doesn't go into the back of you. On what type of road surface may anti-lock brakes be ineffective? So anti-lock brakes is otherwise known as ABS. So the car does the work for you. If the car goes into a skid, just unlocks the brakes and then reapplies it. The road that's most ineffective is going to be loose, gravel, sand, that type of thing. So dry, no. Smooth, no. Loose, yeah, that's just sand and your gravel. And firm, no. You're driving along a wet road, so the road is wet. How can you tell if your vehicle tires are losing their grip on the surface? The engine will stall. It's got nothing to do with the road surface. The steering will feel heavy. That's a possible. The steering will feel light. So again, you've got steering feeling heavy. The steering will feel very light. Let's just cover the last one and then I'll come back to that. The engine noise will increase. So no, so we can get rid of the engine will stall. It's got nothing to do with a wet road, and the engine noise will increase. Again, got nothing to do with a wet road. So let me just break it down for you. The question: you're driving along a wet road. How can you tell if your vehicle tires are losing their grip on the surface? If you're losing your grip, the surface, or the tires in this case, is going to feel light. If it was heavy, it's going to be suggest that you've got more grip. So the answer is going to be feel very light. You're driving in freezing conditions. What should you do as you're approaching a sharp bend? So it's freezing, i.e. icy. Firmly use your foot brake. No, because freezing conditions. Slow down gently. Yes, definitely slow down. Apply your parking brake. You should never be using a parking brake or hand brake with your foot brake. Or while the car's moving, should I say. And coast into the bend. I remember coasting to having the clutch down, which is a lack of control. So the answer to that one is no. How should you use anti-lock brakes when you need to stop in emergency? Brake normally, but grip the steering wheel tightly. It's an emergency, so you wouldn't brake normally. Apply the parking brake to reduce the stopping distance. Again, you should not apply the parking brake and foot brake together while the car's in motion. And plus, if it's emergency, you want both hands on the steering because all the weight's going to go to the front wheel, so you need to make sure you keep both hands on the steering wheel. Brake promptly and firmly until you've stopped. Brake promptly is, in other words, for the theory test, is quickly. They use another word called rapid. A rapid or firmly. So rapid or promptly is the terms they can use, and it's this one. And keep pumping the foot brake to prevent skidding, and that's definitely not the answer. What should you do when you're driving in snowy conditions? So what should you do in snowy conditions? Brake firmly and quickly, no, because it's snow, i.e. ice. Use side lights only, definitely not. Be ready to steer sharply, again, definitely not. Brake gently in plenty of time. Yeah, you want to plan your braking, you're slowing down, because it can take you longer to stop. And just in case you didn't know, it's up to 10 times longer in ice and snow to stop. You're about to go down a steep hill. What should you do to control the speed of your vehicle? So you're going down a steep hill. What should you do to control the speed of your vehicle? Now this one, it should be gear, so you choose a low gear because low gear is low speed, and use your brakes when necessary. They normally throw that in there sometimes, especially on the real test anyway. So definitely it should be low gears, i.e. 1 and 2 to control your speed. Never use the brake all the way down the hill because it can cause what we call brake fade, which is overheating of the brakes and your brakes can fail. So select a low gear and use your brakes carefully. Definitely yes. Select a high gear, use the brakes carefully. A high gear is making you go faster. Select a high gear and use your brakes firmly. No, it's no point going faster to use your brakes firmly. Makes no sense. Select a low gear and avoid using the brakes. And the reason why it's not this one, this is a common answer in the classroom with my students. Just read it again. Select a low gear and avoid using the brakes. Low gear is correct, but you're avoiding using the brakes. If you have to use the brakes and you're avoiding it, you know what's going to happen? You're going to crash. So that's why the answer is not that one. What will help you to move off on snowy surface? Using the car's lowest gear? No, because that's power. You didn't want power on ice and snow. If you think about you trying to run, if there's ice and snow outside your house, straight away, you're going to be sort of doing that, slipping and sliding all over the place. So you don't want to be doing that. Using the parking brake and foot brake together. Again, we never use parking brake and foot brake together in that situation. Use a higher gear than normal. You're going to want to use a higher gear than normal because a higher gear is a weaker gear. So you want less power to move off on ice and snow so you don't get wheel spin. So it's going to be that answer. Use a high engine speed. Your car's not moving, so you can't really use a high engine speed. And if you use the gas before moving off, that's going to make it worse as well. What should you do before starting the journey in foggy weather? So what should you do? Reduce your tire pressure, makes no sense. Have a caffeinated drink. That's like coffee. If you don't drink coffee, that don't make sense starting drinking coffee because I don't drink caffeinated drinks. That makes no sense. allow more time. You're going to allow more time for your journey because technically, because it's foggy, everyone should be driving slower, which means it's going to take you longer to get to your destination. So leave more time for your journey. Wear a high visibility jacket. Again, that makes no sense. What should you do when you park a car facing downhill? So your car is facing downhill. So what should you do? Park close to the bump of another car? No. Turn the steering wheel away from the curb? No. Turn the steering wheel towards the curb? Yes. The reason being, if the handbrake failed, because the wheels are facing the curb, it rolls into the curb and stops. If you face it straight, the wheels, or turn the wheel to the right, you're going to keep rolling if the handbrake failed. So that's the reason why you turn the wheels towards the curb. And park with two wheels on the curb. Again, you should not be parking on the curb. What should you do when you're overtaking a motorcyclist on a windy day? So pass immediately? No. Pass very slowly. The reason why you're overtaking is because they're going slowly, so it makes no slow for you to overtake slowly someone who's already going slowly. So no. Pass widely, yeah. It's a windy day, so they may swerve, so you want to pass them wide as possible. And pass closely again, no. What's the main cause of skidding? Right, believe it or not, 99.9% of skidding is driver error. When this question comes up, everybody puts weather. It's got nothing to do with the weather. The driver left it late in all of these conditions. Now, so don't give us the driver as an option, but it's going to be road surface. That's just sand, loose gravel, because the wheels don't always grip on those type of surface. So I'll just repeat that. The reason for skidding is 99.9% driver error. The other 0.1% is loose road surface, i.e. sand and gravel. So let's see what option they gave us. The weather, that's the common answer, no. The driver, definitely yes. The vehicle and the road, all no's. You're driving a vehicle that has anti-lock brakes. It's got anti-lock brakes. How should you apply the foot brake when you need to stop in emergency? So rapid and gently, or rapidly and gently, no, because the braking is going to be too soft. I will repeat, rapid for fairy test means quickly for them, so quickly from the gas to the brake. Rapidly and firmly, yes. Slowly but firmly, no. And slowly and gently, no. What can result when you travel for long distance in neutral, known as coasting? Now, traveling in neutral technically means the clutch has gone down way too early and down for too long. It's going to reduce, sorry, it's reduction in control, yes, because it's two plates. I won't go into too much detail. I have got a video on coasting, which I'll leave the link up here somewhere. But it's just a lack of control. The two plates aren't touching each other. They're doing their own separate thing. Increase fuel consumption, no. Improvement in control, no. Easier steering, no. How can you avoid wheel spin when driving on an icy road? This is similar to previous question that we had. How can you avoid wheel spin? I'll say it again, it's almost like a recurring theme in this Practice Makes You Better series. If you understand the question, you understand the answer, no matter how they word it, you're still going to pass your theory test. But if you memorize it, you are going to struggle. The answer for this is going to be choose a higher gear. If you remember from the previous questions, drive in a low gear at all times. That's not possible. Brake gently and repeatedly. Again, no. Drive at a slow speed in the highest gear possible. Yes, because the highest gear possible is a weak gear. So you don't want power on ice and snow. Using the parking brake if the wheels start to slip. And again, if the wheels start to slip, you're never going to use parking brake anyway. You just literally come off the brake if you are on the brake, or come off the gas if you're on the gas. You're following a vehicle on a wet road. You stay a safe distance behind it. What should you do if a driver overtakes you and pulls into the gap you've left? Drop back to regain a safe distance. It's got safe in the answer, so we'll tick that as a possible. Flash your headlights as a warning, makes no sense. Try to overtake safely as soon as you can. Right, notice it's got safely in that one, but it says try to overtake safely as soon as you can. Technically, what's the point? He's cut you up basically. All you want to do is the safest option is just hold back and let them carry on, and stay close to other vehicles until it moves in. Again, no. So there you go, another category covered, safety margins, which again is one of the easiest subjects as long as you keep safety in mind. If you haven't already, come and join us in our community on Discord, where you can study with like-minded students. Post any questions you are struggling with. If you have failed the theory test, upload the paperwork they gave you and I can give you more detailed information on moving forwards to pass your theory test for next time round. If you got value from this video, like, comment, definitely subscribe and share it with your friends to give them the chance of passing the theory test first time. YouTube's going to show you a video here. I'm going to show you a video here. Go off and watch which one's relevant to you and I shall catch you in the next video.